Ladies and gentlemen, good evening.
Hello, hello, everybody.
We are today on Facebook Live, LinkedIn Live, and YouTube Live, as always. So, if you would be so kind and put in your comment that you can hear us and see us, we will suffer together today.
I was wondering how many people are going to
It
show
is,
up for a
it
talk
is
about
no.
suffering.
A lot of people, a lot of people basically confirm. So, suffering looks like suffering is a big theme for everybody.
Well, I
So
think most people, when you talk about suffering, most people are going, I don't want to suffer. I want to suffer less. Have you helped me to suffer less? And Jan and I are here today to be like, no, no, hold on.
look what I
So,
have on my t-shirt. Be
yes.
nice, stay nasty. It's about
Nasty.
suffering. All right, so I will check. No, it looks like Marek is from
Yeah,
Facebook. Yeah, we have
we've
just
got
check.
Facebook, we've got
I'll just check
YouTube.
in. Sorry, LinkedIn.
LinkedIn is
And we
always a
can
little bit
start.
delayed, so I'm sure
Yeah,
they'll
yeah,
join
yeah,
us
yeah.
when they're good and ready.
Exactly. It looks like
It,
we are there. Yeah, it looks like it's working.
Perfect.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So let's start. Yeah, we can start. So, Lisa, if you can kick it off, I have a
I
lot
would love
to
to.
talk about.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, we're going to fill a whole hour because suffering. Oh, we have learned for our whole lives how do we ease suffering, right? All businesses are now, we're in the convenience economy. How do we make things faster, easier, more convenient? We have wrinkle free shirts. We have fast food where you can literally drive in. You never even have to get out of your car, right? We have the people who will wash your car while you're at the shopping mall. So you don't have to do two things. I mean, everything is made to make it simpler, easier, smoother user experience, better for you. And in our pursuit of wanting everything to be very easy, very streamlined, we have not learned anymore how to be with discomfort.
Yeah,
And so, actually, whenever we have discomfort, which it will happen in life, we have an overreaction. We don't know how to deal with it. So, it's extra hard for us. And on the flip side, so on the one side, it makes discomfort much harder for us. And on the other side, our body is slowly dying and decaying because it doesn't have the level of discomfort it needs to optimize itself. Our body is an amazing ecosystem. But when we're lazy and we're sitting in a chair all the time and our heart vessels don't need to open up because we're just sitting here, they're not under stress, then of course the heart's going to be under a lot of pressure because the flow isn't so wide. But if we do our cold water swimming with Wim Hof, we'll open that right up. The body needs stress in order to really function well, and we need to learn how to be with discomfort so that actually in the end it doesn't feel uncomfortable. So welcome to the hour where we tell you how to get really uncomfortable, but how to suffer well.
yeah, and let's look first into the history of suffering. Okay.
Like
Uh, Interestingly enough, if you take like hunters, yeah, right, our predecessors, they did suffer almost all the time during the hunting.
yes.
But our brain, that's what psychology is saying and neuroscience, our brain is equipped basically the reason why we dream is basically to get rid of all bad stuff which happened during the day. That was it. And because they were not thinking the thinking as such, our brain was very much developed when we figured out what is the fire, and we started to eat not the cold food, but the hot food, right? And that's when, because before that we were chewing all the time, so there was no time to think. We were chewing like 90% of the time. People were chewing, right, to keep alive. This is it. But then, like 12, 15,000 years ago, the frontal cortex started to be developed, and that's where we realized there is a suffering. So what I try to say, suffering at that time was real. Now, more and more suffering is unreal. It's in our brain. Okay. And
Yes.
if I will now jump like 2,500 years ago, Buddha, his goal was to basically cut out the suffering, but not from outside of the world, because it's impossible. There's always suffering, but from you. And he figured out that the reason why people suffer mainly because they are not able to accept what happened. Okay. And guys, what happened is gone. You cannot change the past. You cannot change the future. You can change the future in each and every present moment, because there's nothing else. We have like those, watches, the Apple watches are showing now, right? Because
I actually have a watch that just says now.
it's always now, there's nothing else than now. Okay. So now the question is obviously how we can make, suffering for us, acceptable, right? How we can train ourselves. And as you rightly said, if people would not suffer at all, if people would not be able to go out of the comfort zone, they would be in the homeostasis all the time, they would die. Because our brain, our muscles needs to be trained all the time, right? Because if you will not move, you are whatever is not growing is dying, and that's the nature, right? And now let me talk a little bit. What is the difference? Because if we think about the way we face suffering, you may imagine you have a scale. Okay, on one side you have somebody with deep willpower and huge tenacity. Okay, on the other side you have somebody with apathy, even like depression. The guy is saying, oh, I'm giving up, I'm not doing it, whatever, right? I don't want to suffer. Right now, what the scientists figured out that those two are influenced by our motivation and inspiration. It's all, suffering is all about the chemistry in your brain, how you will play smartly with your brain. Okay. Now, what we know about motivation is great, but motivation means motive. It's something external, and it's short term. So this is if you are winning Olympic Games, or you are successful with some presentation, or if you have a salary increase, you are happy for some time and it's gone. Inspiration is something different. Inspiration is about deep emotional connection to something, right? To what do you do and have a meaning in your life. And if you are inspired, right, then the chances are you have much bigger tenacity and much bigger willpower. On the other hand, what we figure out that the willpower, whatever you do, the willpower during the day will go down by each and every decision you will make. Okay. Now, what they did, there is a nice podcast and videocast with Andrew Huberman. What they did at Stanford, they've got like two groups of the people. They said, okay, you guys, you will be able to eat only, some vegetables, right? And the other group was, you will be able only to eat some bonbons, some good chocolate. A nice smell of the chocolate. Okay. So decision, and they said, the first group was said, you are not allowed to eat, chocolate, and the other group, you are not allowed to eat vegetables, right? So much tougher decision is not to eat chocolate, right? That's clear. So it has nothing to do with the fact whether chocolate or vegetable, whatever is good for you or healthier. No, they just try to demonstrate that tougher decision you do, less energy, less willpower you will have. Okay. Then they figure out that glucose is, a lot of glucose is necessary because each and every decision, it's a lot of, brain power. Our brain is like 5% of our weight, but it's 20% of energy consumption. It's a huge energy consumption machine. Okay. Because we need to predict, we need to think. So each and every decision is taking your, energy lower. But now the question is, what does it take to make sure that you have enough willpower, that you train, because it's elastic. The other interesting thing what I figured out, that if you have a habit, for example, if I run every day like 10K, it's not improving my willpower because it's already my routine. Yes. You need to go out of the comfort zone. You need to suffer, basically. That's what they said. You need to, because that's why the suffering is good. You need to suffer out of the, you know what I mean, right? Yes. To do something new. right? Otherwise, you are not developing, the new, synapses. Okay,
Yes.
so you need to create something new. So they figure out that the things which are helping. There is I don't know what I think it's called middle single cortex, something like that. It like here, right? And this part of the brain, the size of that part of the brain is connected to your willpower. More willpower, you have a bigger size of that, it's like the hub, which is deciding what kind of the energy I should allocate where, basically. All right.
Yes.
And they figure out that if you are curious and you do some new stuff every day, or you are reading, you are learning all the time, then your willpower will improve. Basically, you will move more to that side. You will still, lose during the day. You need to have a rest, whatever, but you will be very strong. Yesterday I've got a guy who is like fencing, in fencing, right? He said, Jan, I didn't have enough willpower to go through the quarterfinal. I was exhausted mentally. And I said, because, you need to have a rest between the matches. That's what he was not doing. He was like eating, doing some other stuff. I said, you need to like cut off your brain and cool down. This is it, right? So that's interesting, like, the suffering relative to the willpower. So I think more you suffer, but it needs to be like conscious suffering and like it. Don't overdo it, right? Like, but suffering, I mean, it's good because look, if I ran, like I was here like 1 hour ago, I was like, doing a lot of exercise. I suffer, obviously. I suffer, a little bit because I try to do every time a little bit more, but it's good for you. It's good for your brain, and it's good, obviously, for your body also.
Yeah. And this is exactly how your muscles grow, right? Right after you have a workout session or whatever, actually your muscles are very weak. They have little tears in them, right? You've stressed them, you've hurt them, but they grow back stronger. And that's really the whole point, the whole metaphor for suffering. And actually, I want to build on what you're saying and then throw in a term here of post-traumatic growth.
Yeah.
Because we need the suffering in order to make meaning out of something.
Right.
And it could be something with sports. So I'll give you an example. I always think about this. This truly happened. I'm not making this up. I spent like 5 hours in the middle of the heat hiking. I was dying. My friends were like, oh, come on, we got to make it. We finally get to the top of the mountain. And we're like, we did it. And then a car drives up and takes the same picture at the top that we took. But they didn't suffer. They didn't earn it, right? So they came in. They said, okay, nice picture. We have a nice picture. They left. They'll probably never really think about it again. But because I was there, I gave a part of it.
You will have an emotional connection to that picture.
Yes, then I earned it. I have found a purpose through it. And this is where all meaning in life comes from. You don't get a purpose or a meaning in life because everything goes smoothly and perfectly and everybody else is very happy, right? Oftentimes our greatest purpose in life, and Jan, why you came into the field that you're in right now, came because you also suffered from a burnout. I can't believe I went through this, but I don't want other people to. Let's figure out how we help other people with that, right? So part of finding your meaning in life or strengthening your meaning and purpose in life is that you have to suffer. That's just the ticket to entry. Now, people forget that you have a choice in your suffering. And this is what's really important. We're so busy having a fear of suffering that when suffering occurs, it is a fear reaction that we have. Goodbye, prefrontal cortex. We're not going to have this nice, curious, fun, interesting, motivating experience. We're going to go, oh my God, oh, Wim Hof, it's cold. Oh my God, I hate the cold. And then I'm going to show, oh, I have to be 5 minutes and water's freezing. If you tell yourself that, you reinforce that it's something scary and bad and fearful for the body. Well, guess what? Then your body is going to suffer. When I went into the lake and it was freezing, what I did was I said, I'm so excited. I'm so motivated by how much better I'm going to feel afterwards, how much I can test what my body is capable of handling. So as I sit in the ice water in the lake, I'm like, this is amazing. Yes, it was freezing, but this is amazing at the capacity that a body has. And that's a very different reaction to suffering. Is my body still suffering? Am I still going in the cold? Yes. But how am I interpreting the suffering? How am I working with the suffering? How am I making it work for me is the key for how we suffer well. And I would love, by the way, I just want to stop here for anyone who's in the audience. Let us know, like, where are you suffering and you're feeling stuck? Or where have you been suffering and you also had a mindset switch and you were like, yeah, no, I found what was great about it. Because I can certainly tell you, there are so many people recently who have been laid off from jobs and they go, oh my God, I'm laid off. It's so uncertain. I don't know what to do. And then they come out the other side going, whoa. This is the push I needed, that I was in a safe path. I never would have chosen to leave because I would have been too scared. But now that the opportunity is here, I didn't choose it, but now that it's here, I'm going to make something out of it. This is what I mean by suffering well. Did they want to get laid off or fired? No, but that happened. So as Jan said, we accept what has happened. We don't suffer because it's happened. We accept it, and then we move forward with it. We make it work for us. So in fact, our lives turn out better from the suffering. That's that post-traumatic growth.
Yeah. And now let me talk about the chemistry in your brain, right? What is happening? Lisa mentioned a couple of things. Suffering, meaning of your life. And this is very much, connected. There's a great book from Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl was Jewish, psychiatrist, and he wrote a book, The Man's Search for Meaning. I'm sure you know it.
It's down there. Can't reach it. My library.
Library. I tried to say bookstore, but I didn't remember.
Everything's for sale.
It's almost like a bookstore. And basically, he was the first guy who said that you can survive almost everything in your life in case you have a meaning, okay? And behind his, theory, behind his teaching was the fact that every human being got so-called freedom of choice, that you can freely choose, you cannot choose the impulse. You cannot choose what is happening around you, but what you can choose, it's your reaction to what is happening. And it's a huge freedom we have, okay? Right? As Lisa said, you can go, like, there's a very bad situation in your life, and you can go and say, why did it happen to me, whatever. And you will go and be like in the position of the victim. And victim is very bad position. You don't want to be, victim, because then your brain goes like, why me, why again, whatever, right? Or you can ask, as you rightly said, is there a meaning? What is my meaning in my life? Is there a meaning in the situation? Can that situation, help me? Give you one example. When I left mental hospital, my brain was like, obviously, I'm disappointed. I was a top manager, and now I, disappointed a lot of people around me, whatever, right? But then I said, what the fuck? No, I didn't disappoint that. I was, mentally ill. I've got a deep depression, whatever. And I need to learn from that. I said, my meaning is unlock human potential. How can I help people to unlock through that experience, to unlock that potential? So I connect that suffering with my meaning. And if you do that, in fact, what is happening in your brain, how chemistry works, once you have a meaning in your life, you do meaningful things, even though it's a very tough situation around you, the first hormone which is released, it's called endorphin. Endorphin is basically killing pain, and endorphin is killing the fact that you are tired. Endorphin is 100 times, stronger than morphine. Right? Yeah. And endorphin kept, our predecessors to hunt when they were not able to get any food. They need to hunt. So that was endorphin, right? We kept to hunt. And that's the same in our life. If you have endorphin, your willpower goes also up, and you are not that tired, right? Yes. So this is it. In fact, what, Nietzsche said, what is not killing you, it's strengthening you. It's very powerful, and everybody is using it, but you don't think about it, okay? And it's really like, because it's your choice whether the situation will make you stronger or weaker. It's your choice. because your brain, the situation in your life does not make any sense unless your brain will put a sticker on that situation. And you may say, hey, it's a tough, it's challenging, or you can say, hey, I'm victim, I'm giving up, whatever, right? And the choice is yours, right? Absolutely, in your life. And if you choose, okay, I'm gonna to fight, I will study that, what is in it for me, whatever. And as I said, endorphin is released, and you go like step by step, and you change the situation. There are a lot of athletes who basically twice or three times at the Olympic Games were not successful, then winning the fourth Olympic Games, still because they were able to get back to suffer again. And it's really like getting ready for Olympic Games is like 4 years, and then in some sports you have like 10 seconds, if it's
exactly.
100 meters, right? And then you are done, basically, right? Another 4 years for 10 seconds.
But this is why you have to enjoy or love or look forward to the process of suffering.
Absolutely.
And not just the suffering for the suffering. Look, so many things that you said. Yeah, I'm like frantically taking notes. What do I want to add here? Because freedom of choice. Viktor Frankl, like you said, Holocaust survival. And he said, look, we have the freedom to choose. But what most people don't understand, what most people try to do is use mental strength and willpower. As we said, for many people, we're already overwhelmed. We're maybe not in the space where we have that willpower muscle built yet. So for the people who already have it built, great, right. That works. For the people who don't have the willpower muscle really built up yet, the choose your reaction is actually difficult because your body, your fear center is choosing for you out of old habits.
Yeah.
This is why when you hear people say, hey, you should meditate, and everybody's like, oh my God, meditation. Oh no, I don't want to meditate or have time for meditation. But what meditation does is it helps to lower that fear center in your brain and gives you back the capacity to get to choice, to get to willpower. So this is one of those tools that you really want to think about brain training. Because if you're going, I don't have the willpower, I just don't know how to do it, I'm still suffering, that tells me that your fear factor is still quite strong. And so working there with breath work, with meditation is going to be the best way if you feel like, God, I get it rationally, what Jana's saying, but I don't actually have a choice in the moment because, it still sucks and it still hurts and I'm still upset and I'm still mad at my partner when I'm fighting with them over then we need to practice lowering this threat detection here. And then you will have your freedom of choice. And I loved what you said about how to make this meaning out of it. And one of the easiest things that I can tell people, if you're here and going, this just sucks. It sucks. Like I got fired or I lost a client or whatever it is that's going on in your life. Ask yourself this one simple question. What could be the gift from what's happening now? So it's like, nothing good is about it, right? We talked about like COVID-19. Nobody's going to say, oh, I really appreciate COVID-19. COVID-19 was so great. That's not what we're talking about. It's still a crappy situation, but we have to accept reality for what it is and then say, great, so what's the gift from this? What can I create from this so that I rise up stronger? And we did. Jana and I met through COVID, right? We never would have met. So we're all here. Thanks.
All like social networks I did during the COVID, absolutely.
Yeah, there was a lot of people. Yes, content went up. People got much more used to home office. Yeah. I mean, there's so many things that did come out of it. The spirit of people working together, different pharma companies working together, passing through new technologies. There's just so many things, communities that came together. So it's not that the suffering itself, we have to say, oh no, I'm really glad I suffered. You don't have to fake it, no. But we can take it for what it is, accept it, and then say, how do I create a gift from this? So what is the gift that could be created from this? We've got a comment here from Marek, which is so nice. I think it would be nice to share.
Yeah.
They're really, Marek's loving you here, Jan.
This is something I value the most about you after your experience with burnout, the decision to help others. Lisa, perfect example. Thank you. No, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, it's so true. It could have been easy for Jan to say, "Oh, poor me, I've been burnt out, and now I have let people down, and now what about my career? And now I have to hide, or it's over, or I can't do anything." That's easy to do, but that's victim mode. The
Yeah.
people who are happy in life don't go into that victim mode.
Yeah, and the thing which a lot of coaches and managers are doing, like, hey, if something bad is happening, delete it, put it in the like rubbish bin or whatever. No, it's bad. I tell you what, it takes some courage, but I'm like still studying what happened to me 12 years ago. I'm still, because my brain captured it fully. I mean, my memory was working, everything, right? So I'm making a lot of, there are different like situation. Give you one situation, okay, and real situation. I try to figure out how to commit suicide, okay, for some time already, okay, and suddenly I was hearing in the radio they were playing the song "Forever Young," okay, and my amygdala, because if you are depressed, your logical part of the brain is gone. More, it's not gone, but it's not working properly, okay.
Yes.
So it's all amygdala, all fear. And my amygdala created a story. Hey, you are part of the matrix and somebody's managing you and they will not allow you to die. And I was very sad because I felt like I'm not allowed to die. Really terrible, right? And when I fully recovered, I went to my professor, to Cyril Heschel, and I asked him kind of for the feedback. And he said, yeah, that's normal. If you have a deep depression, that's quite normal that you have this almost hallucinations, right? And
Yes.
so those are the things you learn a lot about how your brain can fool you. Absolutely, right? Brain is great tool, but it can fool you unless you are able to check your fear part of the brain through the logic. That's tough, right? And
Yeah.
Lisa rightly said, what you need to do with your brain in general, try to be as much as you can in the slow waves, in alpha. Because if you are in alpha frequency of the brain, 8 to 12 hertz, that's meditation, yoga, tai chi, mindfulness, whatever, just name it. Your brain is slowing down. You are like here and now in the present moment, and your amygdala, your fear center is shut down. Because fears
Yes.
are always, guys, from something what happened in the past or may happen in the future. If you are like here and now with your mind, there is no fear in the present moment. That's a huge thing. That's why I was trained by Mark Devine, who was former soldier from SEAL operation. There was an online training, and he said that those people who were able to do like plank for 2 hours, for example, they were able to do it because they were like living from one present moment to the other. They were not thinking about the end, whatever, right? They're like one more, right? Or the other exercises, like one more,
Yes.
right? Step by step, concentrated on the way, on the process, not on the result, as you rightly said. And then
Yes.
that's another tip. Then the suffering is getting easier, right? Because you go like step by step, and you are not thinking, hey, I still need to do like 100 push-ups, whatever, right? Yeah, one by
Yes.
one, one by one, one by one.
And Jan, this is perfect for exactly how I tell people to deal with email.
Yeah.
They go, oh my God, I get in and, I've gone in a meeting for an hour and I have 100 new emails. And I'm like, hold on. One email. And then do what you need to do. And then one email. And then do what you need to do. Because for your brain, it's very overwhelming to think big, long, oh, that feels hard. When something feels hard, like it's going to be a lot of effort, your brain is going to go, oh, we need to conserve energy. Let's not do that. Let's put that off for tomorrow. Let's do that another time. Let's only do half. Let's rest here. Let's procrastinate.
That's called procrastination. Yeah.
and your brain is actually being efficient about it because your brain is just trying to conserve energy. Anything that it thinks will be too effortful.
I agree.
They say, oh, the brain says, oh, pull it back. And so make it easy. Make it a tiny step. The brain says, okay, no problem here. Oh, I have enough energy for that. Oh, that's no big deal. Because you suffer twice. You suffer thinking about the thing, fearing the thing, thinking about your fear and your suffering of the thing, and then your actual physical reaction to the suffer. Get rid of all the stuff that's in your head. Like Jan said, be in the moment. I'm here and all is fine. I'm here and all is fine. I'm here and all is fine. And that's how you take away the double suffering.
Because if you go like one by one, another very important hormone is released, dopamine, and dopamine is reward hormone. So you will feel good. There's some progress. You know, I did one email, I'll do another one.
Yes.
Reward hormone and motivational hormone. That means that hormone will, you know, make sure that you will continue to do it. You know, right? If you will concentrate, like 100 emails, how can I do that? Yeah, it's one by one. This is it. It's like tennis matches one by one, one ball after the other. You know, right? So that's
exactly
that's the same.
And I do the same. The other thing that stresses me out, and I know a lot stresses out a lot of other people, is I'm always like, I don't have enough time. I need to do this, and I need to be here, and I need to do this. And then I go, because the minute you say, I don't have enough time, and it's a scarcity mindset, there's not enough, and so your threat center goes through the roof, and then you're not here. So anytime I notice myself being stressed about time or I don't have enough time, I tell myself, pause. I immediately time out and say, there is always enough time for what's important. That's it. I will find a way. There's always enough time. Today, I was running a little bit late because I have some weird eye infections. That's why I keep blinking for anyone who's watching me. And so I was late to a meeting today, and I ended up having to take a meeting from my car because I didn't get to the place I needed to be in time. Fine. Nobody cared. I came on my phone. I said, hey, sorry, I'm in my car. They said, nobody cares. And it was fine. Instead of me going, oh my God, I'm going to be late. I have to be stressed, and spending the whole time while I'm driving home, stuck in traffic, and building the stress. I don't have enough time. It's all going to work out. I have enough time. I'll make it happen. Then you lose all that stress, that threat, and you train your brain, opportunity, no problem. I can solve this. That's actually when you begin to not only have freedom of choice, but actually feel excited for some kind of new suffering, something new, something I've never done before. Oh, this is scary. Oh, this is uncertain. This is overwhelming. This is risky, is what most people will say. If you've trained your brain to go, oh, this is something I've never done before. Cool. What could happen? These are the people who are successful. These are the entrepreneurs. These are the people that get ahead in business, because you're excited and curious, not because you're faking it. I have to do this. That is too stressful. But you've really trained your brain to go, cool. Something good always comes from the struggle, and you look forward to it.
Yeah. What Lisa said is very important. Your brain is most effective and efficient device if it's not under the stress. I should say under the huge stress. You need to be a little bit, excited, right? So it's like, hey, I'm a little bit, nervous, but I'm looking forward to start. That's what you need to have, right? Why is that? Because your brain is best doing tasks which are not urgent but are important. That's the best way, because you can your amygdala, your fear center will always tell you everything is important and everything is urgent. Do whatever, do it 100 emails immediately. But now you should not do things which are not important, right? You should not do it, and you need to figure out what is it. For me, in my career, there were some, meetings which were just like, hey, we wanted to see Jan, because he got a nice title, whatever, right? There was no and because I was nice at the beginning of my career, I was too nice, to say no. Then I said, okay, if you wanted to have a meeting, half an hour slot, but, and then obviously with some larger customers, it was a different, but, if somebody knew, I said, okay, send me what you wanted to talk about, and let's figure out what we can do. Maybe somebody else in my team can do it, right? So you should concentrate mainly on things which are important, number one. And then you will have two types of the tasks which are important and urgent. You will not avoid it, because there are some important and urgent things. But you should do mostly things which are important but not urgent. I'll explain you. If you do things which are important and urgent, you will not use fully your brain because you are under the fear of the time, as you rightly said. Okay, give you an example. All right, I'm teaching next 3 days at Luxembourg, University of Business. Okay, and I'm so skilled that I can do that presentation just the night before, and that will be it. Right? Boom, boom, boom. I'm doing something different. I'm like, 3 weeks before that presentation, I'm put together Strawman, kind of, right, Strawman. And then I'm preparing the slides and then all like stories around that 1 week before and so on. That's the way. How can I use fully my brain because I'm not under the time pressure? Okay. For example, I'm always every Sunday morning, I go through my calendar and I go through the main stones for next 6 months, basically, right? Through like what are the big things. And then I obviously do like for, that particular month and the next week, it's more or less, ready. So this is another important thing because if you wanna to suffer in luxury, do things which are important but not urgent, right? Because you will really avoid like sleepless nights and stuff like that. Because as you rightly said, procrastination is basically postponing, and very often we go like, oh, it's too much. I can't do it. But we have 1 month for that presentation. Even if you would do like 1 fucking slide per day, which is everybody can do it, right? You can do it, and this is it, right?
Yes, but this is where the brain chemistry gets very interesting for people because again, what we need is something inside of our brain that gets us to think this is enough of a threat that I now urgently need to do something or I need to focus on. Because when it's not urgent, our brain says, save the energy. And this is exactly why we have to trick a little bit of the brain chemistry because the brain will say, oh, you're a little tired. You still have a month. You'll do it tomorrow, right? Over the weekend when you have nice, quiet, peace, silent, we always tell ourselves this. What we need to do is help to create this uptick in urgency for ourselves so that a month out you go, hey, I'm going to do that 1 slide. I'm going to do it now and get it done. One of the best things you can do to very briefly upregulate yourself, so give yourself a little bit of up, is in the breath. And it's an Andrew Huberman thing as well, the physiological sigh. And I like this one because it's so easy to do. This time, you're not doing relaxing breaths into the diaphragm. We're not trying to calm you down. We're actually trying to pep up just enough to get you out of this, oh, put it off, or oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do it. This indecision point. You need to just up really fast. So the physiological sigh is you just take a deep breath in, fill your lungs and your diaphragm. And once it's full, another one sharp intake. And because you filled the lungs, so the lungs is where we breathe when we have adrenaline or whatnot, and then you've done an extra fast one, that sends an urgency signal to the body, to the brain. And then, okay, I've got just the right amount right this second, because you only need 1, 2, 3 seconds of an extra hit to get going. Once you're in it, you do it, right? Yeah. It's just that decision point. Oh, should I, shouldn't I? Do I start? Do I not? I do. And it's just enough to trick your body into doing it. And then you feel proud that you've done it. And so what I think is really important that so many people, especially in this business world in the modern times, we so work on our brain and our willpower with our brain and what are your thoughts and how do you tell yourself you should do it? And it's like, hold on, use the rest of your body to get the brain moving. Don't fight with yourself. In the brain, you're wasting a lot of beautiful energy, right? So sometimes we need the mental strength, but sometimes not. Just, okay, let's do it. And we use that body to give us that energy.
What they figure out that our ability to decide is the best when we are on the top of our like breathing in. That's what the Huberman is, teaching. And it's the same. If you play tennis, you go like that, you breathe in and you go to the impact. And once you are hitting the ball, you are absolutely there. And then you are like breathing out when you are hitting the ball. Right?
I didn't know that.
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, your our breathing is, it's really great tool how you can regulate, because we have two, it's called our nervous system's got two parts basically. The sympathicus, right? This is about the tension, breathing in, and parasympathicus, if you are like breathing out, it's here, right? Your belly. And our breathing is basically regulating that, right? The other thing which Huberman is showing is the fact that if that our if you are like breathing in, your breathing out should be 1/3 longer than breathing in, because maybe I said it last time, but anyway, because if you are like breathing in, your diaphragm goes down, and your heart got a bigger space here, so can pump more more blood to your body. Okay, once you are like breathing out, it's going up, there is a little space, so, and there is not that capacity for your heart to distribute the blood, and you can cool down. Basically, it's very important. If you want to cool down, it's really about, it's not only breathing in, breathing out, but have a right ratio between breathing in and breathing out. Breathing out should be like 1/3 longer than breathing in, right?
Yes. And we haven't talked about intermittent fasting, but there's so many tricks of how to get your body to be optimized. Again, we're too often thinking about our mind and how do we use mental strength and willpower. Use the body, because the body influences the way you think without you consciously knowing it. So if you want to have more willpower, if you want to feel better, if you want to suffer well, things like intermittent fasting, skip dinner or skip breakfast, give your body a little bit of time where it says, ooh, what's going on? Let me burn some of the fuel from inside of me, right? Let me feel a little bit of, quote, stress. But that's good for the body. It helps to cleanse the body. When we're eating all the time, 6 meals a day, I'm American. I think we graze all day long. We're like cows in a field, right? I mean, we don't even have meal times. It's just like we're eat a little here, we have a snack here, let's get some chocolate.
You guys invented fast foods there.
We are disgusting.
That would never be invented in France, It is in France, but it was not invented there,
But I mean, Americans love convenience. We love things fast. We love things cheap, right? It was like the most American thing we could create. But that actually is a different source of body stress. So while we feel, oh, look at all the abundant food we have, and this is so great, it ends up creating a sickness and health problems for us. Our sugars crash us. So we are suffering either way, but one of them is a way that helps to pump us up and make us healthier and better. And the other suffering is pulling us down and making us more sick. That's why we say, remember that sometimes the short-term suffering is actually what's worth it for the longer term benefit. But we're so used to saying in the short term, I'll do anything I can to get rid of the suffering, that we create immense long-term suffering for ourselves, but we just are so used to short-term comfort. And so really think to yourself when you're noticing, oh, I'm uncomfortable right this moment, be like, that's okay. And see what happens once you're okay with a little bit of short-term suffering. You can do anything for 30 seconds, believe me.
That's and with fasting, it's obviously individual, but what I do, I try to eat last time before 7 p.m. and then usually have a breakfast between 7 and 8 a.m. So it's, the good thing is to have like 12 hours during the night and during the evening, not just the water during the evening and so on. It's, if you go for something or whatever, so it's impossible. So I think I can't, like once a week probably I eat like 8 o'clock in the evening. But then you go, like, or you can, and as Lisa said, you can have like window of eating for 8 hours only. You can eat for those 8 hours, depends, but it is always good, because if you eat all the time, especially like before, the night, you are not sleeping well. And, that's, I try really like to eat last time 3 hours before I go to the bed,
Me too, easily. And they actually, I'm not good about this, But the evidence for longevity that's coming up does show if you fast a full day once a week, even 2 days, up to 3 days, every so often, that it really cleanses, your body systems. I'm not good at fasting for whole days at a time, but I can do 12 hours or 18 hours.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. This is absolutely fine, and that's how you can also. This is some, project how you can create some, suffering, if you will.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's suffering, but it's good for your body, right?
Yes, and the other thing that I was going to say is, funny enough, suffering by yourself can feel very lonely and demoralizing, but suffering with other people can actually be the thing that bonds you and makes a relationship closer. So don't underestimate that when you suffer alongside someone, you're both suffering through the same things. That connection is so much stronger. And we know that we as humans, we need connection. We need people. So part of suffering is actually in the creation of deep and meaningful relationships. So again, the more that we try to make everything look perfect on Instagram and have everything be great, and when people ask how we are, we say, oh, I'm great, everything's perfect, how are you? Then you miss the opportunity to actually connect it. When everything is perfect and great and wonderful and nice and fine, it keeps relationships very shallow. And you don't have the deep connection that we're looking for. So part of suffering is sharing with others and using that. Now, be careful. What most people do at the workplace is they start to complain in the coffee corner and they're like, oh, we have shared suffering. This is so great. We're all suffering together. But they're using that as an excuse to stay in victim mode.
Yeah.
We don't want that. We want to suffer alongside people. We want to talk to people when we're suffering. Don't hide it. Don't say, oh, I'm fine. Everything's fine. Talk to people, connect. But use that as the jumping off point to clear out and move forward. Absolutely. So remember, we said, what's the gift? and that's where we want to keep remembering that when we're with people, we don't have to be the victim of suffering. This is so important in terms of helping people to feel free from the downside or the suffering around suffering.
Yeah. No, because you said something very important in my view, and that's resilience. Because resilience is not only about like getting up if you are down, like getting up, but resilience is also going through the challenge, through the fire, right? And there, I think your social, I would call social support system, whether it's your family or your colleagues in the work or whatever, or some athletes you do the sport with, it is very important, because we have this mirror neurons, and if we see some other people are encouraging us, we try to mimic it, right? This is it,
Yes,
absolutely. And you may say also, if you go and and everybody got it, like self-pity, I'm the victim because
poor me.
Try to do following. I call it mental hero. Okay, mental hero exercise is following. Okay, try to pick up somebody on internet, on YouTube, whatever, who can be really your mental hero. My mental hero is the guy, Nick Vujicic, is the guy who was born to Serbian parents. He was born already in Australia, but he was born without the legs and without the arms.
Okay? I know this guy.
And you know him. His kind of the, message, or his, mantra is no arms, no legs, no fear. Okay. And he goes around the world and inspires people. And whenever I've got some like self-pity and try to say, hey, which is happening probably once a year, not that much, but I'm always watching him, or I'm reading something on my phone from him. And I'm like, I feel, bad. Like I feel like, hey, because somebody didn't invite me for some event, whatever, I would say I'm the victim, whatever. Look at that hero, right? And you compare yourself that this is a great hero and this is me, and it's really like the small thing what is happening to me. Yes. And you will get another perspective. Right? That's one thing what they do when they one reason why they are putting together all patients with the depression, that they share this experience. And then if you hear the other story is like, hey, more or less nothing is happening to me if I compare that person was like, bullied, whatever, in the childhood, right? So it's all about, your perspective and really your sticker you putting on those situations.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everybody who's listening or watching, you should Google some videos of this guy because he's amazing.
Nick Vujicic is the guy, is the name,
I forgot his name, but he's so good. And that's exactly right. Whenever you're feeling down or you're feeling like a victim, use something, once again, not just mental strength, willpower, use something to put you forward. Maybe it's a song. I don't know about you. Thank you, Jan. He put it into the Facebook chat of his name. I don't know about all of you, but when I turn on the Rocky song, Eye of the Tiger, like, da, 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 I can't hear that song and be like, I feel no power. I'm a victim. I'm like, wait, hold on. I'm strong. I can do this, right? So use cues around you. Find the friend who's going to say, yeah, but you're great. You can do this. Rise up. Think about all the accomplishments you've been through. Hey, hold on. This is a hard time, but I've been through way worse and I can do that, right? So you start to build yourself back up and you remember your strength and your power.
Try to listen, I have a eye of the tiger and be depressed. It's impossible. I try to be victim. It's impossible. Even if you listen the words, of some songs, it's encouraging you, right?
Yes.
Exactly. There's something in psychology, they call it alter ego. Alter ego is that you feel like I'm the lion or I'm somebody else, like alternative ego, right? Yes. So this is what you can. Some of my athletes are using it, in the sport.
Yes, I love that. I want to make sure I had one more thing in my notes that I felt like was really important to mention. So it didn't come up, but I wanted to mention it here. We know that people are now getting really into like self-help, self-reflection. Mental health is becoming a big topic. And people are like, wow, this is so great. I'm learning so much about myself. Maybe I'm going to therapy for the first time. I'm really reflecting. And I have to say, very few people talk about the dangers of reflecting in the wrong way. Because sometimes we reflect and then we ruminate, we get stuck. Oh, why did I do that? Why wasn't I good enough? Did I say that stupid thing in me? Why did that other person get the promotion? Why me? Why? And there's actually a healthier and better way to reflect. And it's very easy, but nobody tells you this stuff. You got to ditch the word why. Because the minute you're looking for a why, your brain is going to start making excuses or it's going to start feeling victimized. There's a lot of stuff that happens that triggers in your threat center with the word why. So what do? Use the word what. Okay, what was going on there? Oh, what happened in that meeting? What? Because then that doesn't trigger the defense or the fear, that triggers the curiosity in your brain. Oh, what's important about me doing that differently going forward? So when you reflect, don't always look for why, because it very easily can put you in a victim mode, in a blaming mode, in a and then that kind of self-reflection does not bring you self-awareness and it does not bring you forward. But people feel like, oh my God, but I'm doing this self-awareness thing. It must be working. The studies show you'll be more depressed. So don't do suffering badly. If you have to suffer and you have to face, oh my God, that meeting didn't go like I wanted it to go, that presentation, ooh, I was really embarrassed by this, whatever. But face it once with curiosity. Ooh, what happened there? What was going on? What can I do? What? And then you've learned that's closed. You don't have to hide from it. You don't have to be afraid of it. You don't have to be ashamed of it. You don't have to sit with all of that. You've moved on and you've learned. And that's true good self-reflection, self-awareness without the unnecessary suffering.
Yeah. And the other thing is that your center of the fear, amygdala, is, looking for the judgment, okay? Whether it's good, because amygdala is interested. If it's good for you, that part of the brain is not interested in that. If it's bad, and it's putting almost on everything it's bad. This is it. So judgment, if you're doing something and you are like judging yourself, it's not good.
Yeah.
You need to ask those questions, because questions switching your thinking from emotional thinking to logical thinking, like how can I use it, right? So once you go and you say, hey, this is wrong again, that's me, right, whatever, then you are going in the loops, and very soon you will be the victim, right? That's even like during the tennis game, you should judge yourself after the match, but not during the match. Maybe after one set, do some adjustments, but not during the game. That's once you, because your brain will not be in the present moment. Once you judge yourself, it's about the past or maybe about the future, but you are never back in the present moment.
Yes. And I'll share one thing that I do as a practice that I've only started doing recently, and it's been life-changing. So I share it with you all as, I guess, we're at the end of the hour. So my last tip here. A lot of stuff that happens throughout the day, we just don't slow down and have enough time to process or think about. So maybe you think, oh, someone made a comment and it doesn't really bother me, and I'm fine. And you brush it off. You're mentally strong. It's fine. It's fine. I'm fine. But it sits somewhere in the body. And if we don't clear those out on a regular basis, just do a regular cleaning, eventually they start to add up and add up and add up. And then the threat center is much more easily triggered, because our stress system, our nervous system is already triggered. So what I've started doing is every day I do not a meditation where I cleanse my mind and think about nothing, but an active breath work where I set an intention for what I want in the world, whatever I want to create or whatever. And then I allow, with a little bit of a guided meditation, I allow whatever is inside of me to come up. And sometimes I'm angry, sometimes I'm scared, sometimes I'm overwhelmed. More days than not, I'm going, everybody leave me alone. It's too much. Everybody leave me alone. Stop asking me for things. But I let that surface, right? I let it come out during my breath work. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. It's so much. Leave me alone. Oh, it's so much. It's so much. I've processed it out. Absolutely. Now I go to my day. I'm ready. Clients can ask me for things. My team members can ask me for things. My kids constantly ask me for things. My partner can ask me for things. My mother-in-law. Fine. I'm here. I'm ready. I have capacity because I've cleared it. Not by yelling at someone and saying, I don't know, but I've cleared it. And the more you can do as a regular clearing practice versus a very specific, the more capacity you have on a regular basis to be in that curious, amazing, wonderful, motivated, growth space.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The one thing which I use and it's helping me, it's called Yoga Nidra. I will put it also here. I'll explain you what is it, Yoga Nidra.
So it's going into the chat for all of those of you who are online.
Yoga Nidra is not yoga, by the way. You are like laying or sitting, and there is a voice. There's a nice voice saying like, breathing in, release your muscles, right? Release your knee, release your muscles on your feet, right? And stuff like that. And it's like the body scan. And it's called, those techniques are called non-sleep deep rest. You are not sleeping, but you are like deeply, having a rest. And what they figured out that Yoga Nidra, the all NSDR techniques, you are able to create new synapses. They thought that new synapses are creating only during the deep sleep, but they figured out that during those techniques, if you are able to put your brain in like alpha and have this kind of the relaxation, new synapses are created during the day. So you will feel good, your body will feel good, and your mind will feel relaxed if you do it. Right? Yes. You can get up on the phone. You can pay it, but it's free on YouTube. You just Google, Yoga Nidra, and you can start even today evening.
Exactly. So we all have a nice practice now to get into before bed, We just relax everything and see how much deeper your sleep is.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining on such a weird topic. Who knew that suffering well would actually
a lot of people were obviously interested in that. Okay, guys, thanks very much and see you in 14 days. Yeah.
Yeah. See you later. Take care.
Opa.